ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, we're the heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's my favorite day of the week. It's my favorite time, my favorite show. I could talk golf for hours upon hours. Tea time wagers with good friend and colleague, Mr. Brady Kannon. The headliner today: can Scottie three-peat at the Players Championship? Wow, that would be history. Plus 555 currently at the Circa, a number that we don't see that often with Scottie. This is an absolute must-watch TV. The 17th hole, no lead is safe, and that's a great price. We're going to talk to Brady about this. 555, that's a great number. But there are some... the best of the best are here, so we're going to get into this one for sure. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. Of course, it's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, myself, Guy, Amber, Holly, Matt, everyone will take good care of you, I promise. And then from there, we will go to... brain's not keeping up. The coffee's kicking in here. Then Viva Tequila Seltzer, 6 flavors in all. The East Coast is Cuckoo for Coconut. And last but never least, of course, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Head on over to Facebook, introduce yourself to Terry Smith, then go to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Place an order today. You could be grilling by Monday. Without further ado, Mr. Brady Kannon.
Players Championship week, Jeff, and you said the best are here. And, for many years, we've called this the 5th major. Well, I've kind of decided I'm not going to call it the 5th major anymore because, let's be honest, there's probably about 8 to 10 guys from the live circuit that we could have in this field that would, really bring it to what it had been in past years. But I'm not going to downgrade it much at all. I'm still going to call it the world's greatest appetizer because we are, as of Thursday, exactly 4 weeks away from the opening round of the Masters. And this really is the world's greatest appetizer. And what a great event it is. You talked about, the 17th hole, really the final stretch of holes, 16, 17, and 18 are absolutely thrilling. This is one of the real masterpiece designs in the world. Pete Dye, this is his Mona Lisa. No hole runs in the same direction. Half the holes ask the players to hit a draw. The other half the holes ask the players to hit a fade. You've got a scramble. You got a putt. The approach shots. It is such an examination of the entire golf game, and what it leads to is really total randomness as far as who wins this thing. I can't think of any tournament where you have guys that have won this thing, even multiple time winners. There aren't many. I think there's 7 in total that have won this tournament more than once. Scottie's the only guy to ever go back to back. But you look at guys that have won this tournament, they've also missed the cut multiple times. I mean, it is so volatile. You look at Ricky Fowler's track record. He's won here before. He's had top 10s before. He's missed the cut like 4 or 5 times. And that's not uncommon. The one guy that has an uncommon resume here is Hideki Matsuyama. He traditionally does pretty well. I think he's got 1 top 10, but he's only got like one missed cut. But otherwise, it's all over the map. And you look at the guys that have won it too. From Craig Perks out of nowhere, I think it was his only ever PGA Tour win. Fred Funk, Tim Clark, Stephen Ames, Jerry Kelly was a fixture on these leaderboards. Ian Poulter did well, runner up a couple of times. And then you have the luminaries, Scottie, Sergio Garcia, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Fred Couples twice, Davis Love twice. It's just a really cool tournament and hard to predict because, like I'm trying to illustrate here, there's all different types of players that win this thing. There's all different types of results. There's not a whole lot of continuity. So we do our best to try and pinpoint, who's going to succeed this week. And we cross our fingers, but at the same time, it's typically really entertaining because of the way this golf course is built. And I think in large part, we have to tip our hat to Pete Dye this week. This is the guy that has created what we have here in front of us.
Well, it's funny because I was listening to the Golf Channel last night, and he said this was obviously the hardest course for him to design I think it was 417 acres of swampland that they said.
Yeah.
And he did it literally at a restaurant on the back of a placemat. It was just fascinating to hear that yesterday. One of our favorite fans here, Mr. Brian Gaskell, says, I'll be driving for a while as what's it say? So let me get my question in early. Thoughts on Hideki? Can't get that round when he blitzed the field day one, then COVID struck.
Yeah, gosh, I remember that all too well. I was on him that year. Shot a 63, and then, the world shut down after that. That was unfortunate. And to my point, Hideki's always done well here. I know he's a pretty darn popular pick this week. I think by both people that are, considered recreational general public and also by some very sharp bettors. I think he, qualifies in both camps. He's not on my card. We were on him to begin the year at Kapalua. He's in my pocket for a win at the Masters. I don't know. I think he's really got a great shot at Augusta. This one here this week is just, again, it's so difficult to put your thumb on who's going to win. I just didn't get the mojo from him. But the one reason he always does well here is because he's a tremendous scrambler. Justin Thomas and Hideki Matsuyama, a couple of the world's best scramblers. They've both, Thomas has won here before. Hideki has done well here traditionally. The one guy that typically does well here and doesn't have a whole lot of blemishes on his Players' Championship resume. Scrambling is really big, the touch around the greens, and those guys are a couple of the best at it. Plus his iron play is elite. He's typically not too wayward off the tee. Sometimes he's not the greatest putter in the world, but putting, he gets streaky with the putter, does Hideki. And putting is typically not the most important thing here at the Players. It's the theme of the Florida Swing. It's all about ball striking. And that's really where I went this week. I was looking at strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained ball striking, fairways gained, strokes gained approach, greens in regulation, so much about what you do tee to green. And then, of course, scrambling is incredibly important. Like I said, it takes a little bit of everything. It really is major championship-esque as far as what the golf course requires of you to succeed. But I think first and foremost, it has to be ball striking. And it doesn't matter if you're long or short. Again, as I've kind of illustrated, we've seen Jason Day win here. We've seen Rory McIlroy win here. We've also seen Siwoo Kim and Webb Simpson win here. So there's all different kinds of players getting it done. But I think the common thread is that they have a great week of ball striking.
Well, you talked about Justin Thomas. You talked about Colin Morikawa, and you will obviously get more into Morikawa as we get onto the leaderboard here. Both guys I've used in our one and done. As I told you last weekend on the Sports Grid, I sent out one play to our ECSI VIPs. That was Morikawa plus 1850 at the Circa. Yes, we did cash top 5 plus 330. Yes, we did cash top 10 plus 150 or 180. But the mindset, you could see the after the press conferences, a little uptight, a little he's angry at himself. At
Mm-hmm.
one point,
Yeah.
a 3-shot lead at one point on
Right.
Sunday,
Yep.
two shot lead with 5 holes to go, and then Henley, the 54-footer on the fringe for eagle. You How's Colin feeling other than frustrated at this point, Brady?
Oh, he's really got to be kicking himself, but now he's had a couple of days to kind of cool off. And you know, I'm not going to call Russell Henley's win lucky because he made a great shot, but if that ball doesn't hit the flag and drop, it rolls off the green. That ball was screaming, you know, towards the flag, and he is lucky that it hit the pin and went in. Now, it's obviously a great shot, but I mean, if that thing is 1 inch one way or another, Colin Morikawa wins the golf tournament. That's how, you know, thin that you can slice that victory. But hats off to Russell Henley, and it's no surprise that Henley won the golf tournament. He almost made my card, unfortunately, did not. But what was surprising to me is how it unfolded. Had Russell Henley been in the lead and won, you know, but it also was not surprising. I've had Russell Henley before where he's led by 3 on the back 9 on Sunday and melted down. And we saw it happen to begin the golf tournament, to begin the Arnold Palmer last week. He was 2 over par, like right out of the gate. And I was like, oh, there goes Henley again, you know. And then Morikawa never put his foot down and never separated himself. I don't think Colin really lost the golf tournament, but he didn't go out and win it either. And Henley kind of did. Yeah, so now he's had a couple days to kind of let this all sink in. And I think you could make an argument that Colin Morikawa right now is playing the second best golf in the world. You know, Scottie, we know, is number 1. Rory's right there. We know John Rahm's right there, but you know, Colin is currently ranked 4th in the world. I think that's pretty darn accurate. You could argue again that the way he's running right now is even better. He's had 2 runner-ups already on this season, and I know we'll get into my selections, but I'm going back to the well. I thought, you know, and it reminds me a little bit of how I treated the PGA Championship last year. If you remember, the signature event prior to the PGA was the Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow, and Rory just curb stomped Xander Schauffele on Sunday there, and everybody was like, "Oh, Schauffele, he can't finish. You know, the sky is falling." And I was like, "This is a perfect time to bet him for next week. The course is a perfect fit. The guy's obviously playing great." And sure enough, he went on to, I mean, he's really gate to wire, I believe. He was first round leader. I hit him for that as well. And he won the PGA Championship. I thought there would be more anti-Morikawa sentiment this week, but there wasn't. There was actually people kind of piled on. If you see it Circa, I got Morikawa at 14-1. At Circa, he went all the way down to 10-1. He's come back up a little bit. I know other books where I've seen him below 10-1. So there wasn't any hesitation with going back to the well with Morikawa apparently this week. And I went there as well because, I mean, how can you argue with what he did last week? You and I may have talked about this over the weekend as well. For the first 2 rounds at Bay Hill, there was nobody in that field hitting the ball better than Colin Morikawa and Justin Thomas. Those guys were spot on. Their irons, they were top 3 in the field for strokes gained approach. They were top 3 in the field for driving accuracy. They were just striping every single shot, and neither one of them could make a putt. And I said, okay, this is just fine. The game is 99% there. If the putter just turns a little bit better, both of these guys are going to win this golf tournament. Well, it turned out it went south for Thomas, but it, you know, it kind of came to fruition for Morikawa, who the great play continued all the way, and then, you know, he just got caught at the end because he still couldn't hole a putt. typically the putting will turn. Putting is very volatile. It typically is not great for all 4 days, and it's typically not awful for 4 days. You're going to have a little bit of a mixture in there. And not that it was awful for Morikawa, but it never really got good enough to win him that tournament. But, you know, if that's all that's missing right now from his game, he's going to be just fine.
And I'm going to turn the tee box over to you after this. I'm on the Circa app right now. Scottie at 555. The second favorite is Colin Morikawa, now at 1150. Rory at 1350. Oberg at 1550. And then you go Fleetwood, Thomas, Henley, Schauffele at 28-1, Hideki at 2450. So as you said, Henley a couple weeks ago did that flash and fade, knocking on the door. Then he closed the deal. So again, I if you had Colin last week, there's no crying here. I would stay on that horse, as you're saying.
Yep, I'm going right back to the well. I mean, again, if he's a top 4 player in the world, if he's arguably playing the second best golf in the world right now, why not? It's a perfect course for him. His highest finish ever here has been 13th. But again, we know that history doesn't mean much at this golf course. I mean, anybody can kind of do anything at any moment. I remember, great story, one of my favorite stories. I remember Davis Love, who was a 2-time champion here at the Players, went out the first day and shot like 63 or 64 on Thursday and was playing with Jim Furyk. And this is kind of a microcosm of the golf course. And he goes out the next day and shot like 78 or something like that, or 80 or whatever, and missed the cut. You know, so I mean, he just did this is Davis Love. Shoots this one day, that the next, and he's packing his bags for the weekend. One of the cool parts of that story as well, as an aside, was Furyk said, and this taught me about playing golf myself. You wouldn't have known the difference in what Love shot the 2 days because of the way he conducted himself, the class and the demeanor that he had on the golf course through a 63 or a 64 or whatever it was, and a 78 or whatever it was. He was the same person. He didn't cuss. He didn't get frustrated. He didn't celebrate. He was the same guy, a gentleman. And I was like, that's a good lesson right there in how to treat the game. But it also at the same time tells us about this course. Anything can happen here. So, you know, Morikawa, his best finish being 13th, that's good. That's a good sign. We know he's got the game. Driving accuracy, ball striking, he can scramble. He can do it all. No reason to get off that horse. I agree with you.
Well, I'm going to flip it over to you right now with your correlated courses, and then we'll get right into your selected releases for the Players Championship.
Yeah, I talked about, you know, heavy on the ball striking, strokes gained ball striking, strokes gained off the tee, fairways gained, strokes gained approach, bogey avoidance, scrambling very, very big. How guys perform on the par 4s that range from 450 to 500 yards. How they do on Pete Dye courses. You know, there's a lot of correlation with Pete Dye courses. Guys that play Pete Dye courses well tend to do so time and time again. And there's similarities in the design, obviously, but Dye courses tend to emphasize position. Like, you know, Harbor Town is another one. Where there's a lot of crossover, you know, Matt Kuchar, Webb Simpson. There's been a lot of guys that have won the RBC Heritage at Harbor Town and have also won the Players, and they're both Dye designs. And I've played Harbor Town before. You know, driving accuracy is important. It's a relatively narrow golf course, congested, but I can understand it's about position in the fairway. I hit a lot of fairways, but I was not in a great spot to approach the green. So you've got to be in the right spots to approach the green, to avoid the trouble. And that's very much what you find here at Sawgrass. The fairways are relatively narrow, but you just can't find the fairway. You got to find the right spot in the fairway in order to try and have a birdie chance, something like that. And then par 5 scoring, you got to take advantage of the par 5s here as well. As far as the correlated courses, TPC River Highlands and Harbor Town, those are both Dye designs. Those have a lot of crossover success. Sea Island, where they play the RSM Classic. East Lake Golf Club, where they play the Tour Championship. Mayakoba, where they used to play the Worldwide Technologies. In fact, Russell Henley, a winner there back in the day, the Riviera Maya outside of Cancun, more of an accuracy-based golf course there as well. And then probably the strongest golf course where we see a ton of crossover success is Sedgefield Country Club, where they play the Wyndham. Siwoo Kim and Webb Simpson, both a winner there at the Wyndham. Incredible crossover success with Sedgefield to TPC Sawgrass here. So those are the stats I looked at. Those are the correlated courses. I mentioned I went with Morikawa. He's my shortest shot. Got him at 14 to 1. I think that number's still out there, even though we've seen as low as less than 10 to 1. 2 runner-ups already this season. Also a runner-up last August at Eastlake. As high as 13th. I remember I already mentioned here 2 top 10 finishes at Harbortown, top 15s at Mayakoba and River Highlands. Last 36 rounds, 10th in this field for strokes gained ball striking, 5th for bogey avoidance and fairways gained, and he's 14th in scrambling. Collin Morikawa, ladies and gentlemen, enough said. I think he's going to be in the mix again. Sepp Straka, very popular pick this week, and it's because he makes a ton of sense. Got him at 42 to 1. I've seen him as low as 33 to 1. He's already got a win on a Pete Dye golf course this year, the American Express. Now, that's a 3-course rotation, but 2 of the 4 rounds are played at the Pete Dye Stadium course where Straka already won this year. He comes in off an 11th place finish at the Cognizant and a 5th place finish at Bay Hill. The form is great. He's got a 16th and a 9th here at Sawgrass, 2 top 5 finishes at Harbortown, a 15th at the Wyndham, top 10s at both River Highlands and Eastlake. This guy checks a lot of boxes. Last 36 rounds, 4th in this field for approach, 4th on both the par 5s and the par 4s, 2nd on tour in greens and regulation, 11th in driving accuracy, and 50th in strokes gained putting. I mean, what more can you say? That guy looks to be a good fit for this golf course. And then I went with Aaron Rai at 50 to 1. I've seen him as low as 40 to 1. And when I think about Aaron Rai, I think of ball striker, laser-like accuracy off the tee, and oh, by the way, he won the Wyndham Championship last year. It's like, that's about enough for me. Why he's a good fit here at TPC Sawgrass. Also, by the way, in 2 tries, has finished 35th and 19th here at this golf course in only 2 tries. That's a pretty darn good resume. And again, I think it just speaks to his game. Accuracy, ball striking, won at the Wyndham. Daniel Berger, 55 to 1. You know, Jeff, we've been doing this show together for a couple of years at least now. And I've tried to find my spots with Daniel Berger because people forget it wasn't that long ago that this guy was a top 15 player in the world. Went to Florida State, has an affinity for Bermuda grass greens, has an affinity for playing in the state of Florida, has a couple of top 4s and a runner-up finish at the Cognizant. You know, he's been good. He has 2 9th place finishes, 2 top 10s here at the Players Championship. And he just finished. He's got 2 top 25s already this season and a runner-up in Phoenix. So it feels like we're closer than ever to that Daniel Berger return to prominence. And maybe it's going to be this week. So I jumped on him once again. He's really starting to play some great golf. 2nd in this field for strokes gained off the tee and also on the par 4s of 450 to 500 yards. 8th in this field for bogey avoidance, 7th for fairways gained, 18th for strokes gained ball striking. The guy's really close. He's getting ready, and I hope it's going to be this week. And then this kind of goes to what I'm talking about with this golf tournament producing very random results. Okay, Aaron Rai, Daniel Berger, Collin Morikawa, Sepp Straka, they all make a bunch of sense. I think after that, you have to find some really live underdogs because eventually this leaderboard is going to populate with Jerry Kelly and Stephen Ames and Tim Clark and Ian Poulter and Fred Funk and these guys, you know, that seemingly come out of nowhere and show up on this leaderboard. So I went with JT Poston, who, you know, fits that accuracy-based ball striker. Twice he's finished 22nd here at this event. He's got a 7th and a win at the Wyndham. Okay. 4 times he's been top 10 at Harbor Town. He's got a 5th at Sea Island and a runner-up at the Travelers Championship. Guy has money on the correlated courses. Last 36 rounds, he's 25th in this field for strokes gained ball striking, 30th for strokes gained off the tee, 35th on strokes gained approach, and he's 15th for strokes gained on the par 5s. Current form, too, 12th at the American Express and a 16th in Phoenix. So at triple digits, 100-1, I think he can even find better. I thought JT Poston is one of those guys who just might find himself at a top 10 finish here. And of course, you guys know I played all these for top 20s as well. And I think JT Poston is a guy that has a great chance to finish top 20 and may go on to win the darn thing. JJ Spaun, probably playing the best golf of his career. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time we've been on him this season. We were on him for a runner-up finish at the Cognizant a few weeks ago in Palm Beach Gardens. And you look at the season he's had, the 2nd at the Cognizant, a 3rd at the Sony, a 15th at Torrey Pines. The guy's been great. 11th in this field for strokes gained ball striking over the last 36 rounds, 2nd for strokes gained approach, 22nd on tour in greens and regulation, and he's 7th in this field for bogey avoidance. So I think Spaun is one of those guys at triple digits that just might find himself here, you know, in that top 15 in that neighborhood. And who knows, maybe he'll finish runner up again. I'll take that. And then my last long shot, and I think this guy checks all the boxes as well. We've been on him we've been on him once already this year, and he recorded a top 5 for us in Mexico. And that's Joel Damon. And again, another guy that is a consummate ball striker, deadly accurate off the tee, 2 top 10 finishes and 6 starts this season, 16th in this field for strokes gained ball striking, 20th on approach, 17th for fairways gained. He's had an 11th and a 12th here at the Players, a 12th and a 16th at Harbor Town, and has top 5 finishes at both Mayakoba and Sea Island. So, you know, my guys kind of all fit the same mold. And hey, what's to say all 7 of them aren't going to find themselves into the top 20, and maybe a couple of them will have a chance to win. So I like the card a lot this week, Jeff.
I love where your eyes are. You know, you sprinkle in the iron with Morikawa, Straka, Rye, and then, as you said, Berger definitely fits this course, and take a few long shots with Poston, Spaun, and Damon. And then, of course, top 20s there. A few head-to-heads this week.
Yeah, I played 3 head-to-head matchups, and I got to find those here for you now. Okay. And I just... I kind of just did a thin slice this week and went on like my first impression of these matchups. I didn't, admittedly, I did not pay a whole lot of attention to price, and I just went with who I felt the better player, the better side was in the matchup here. Andrew Novak at -125 over Cam Davis. I think you could argue Cam Davis is the better player. He's had 2 wins on the PGA Tour, but we saw him last week. He got out to a great start, had the benefit of the non-wind start, if you will, and then he fell off a cliff. Andrew Novak is another guy that's kind of a perfect fit for Sawgrass. He is built on ball striking, and he's had a great year, and I think that is going to carry him past Cam Davis in this matchup. I don't see this golf course being a great fit for Davis. Novak, I think, will do better than Cam Davis, period. I laid -125. Now, Austin Eckroat. Austin Eckroat is a class player. He's won in the state of Florida before, but this one, I thought the price was out of whack. Joel Damon, who we're on for an outright, at +135 over Austin Eckroat. I think that's maybe Eckroat's -120. He's not -155. Maybe Eckroat is a slight favorite there. So I'll take Damon at what I think is way too big of an underdog price there. I think he absolutely has a great chance to beat Eckroat in that head-to-head. And then Ben Griffin at -145 over Max Gracerman. I'm going to continue to fade Gracerman until I see this guy have some mental toughness. I mean, every time we see this guy, he's finished runner-up how many times? It's because he can't win. I mean, Aaron Rye won the Wyndham Championship last year because this guy just, crapped down his leg after he made like an eagle, and then he made a quadruple bogey. I mean, he's got a ton of talent, but boy, he has got to figure it out upstairs. And now you're telling me this guy's going to step up, on the tee box at TPC Sawgrass and not be able and to avoid crumbling. No, I see Ben Griffin as the much more heady player. I think the talent is similar. Griffin is a supremely talented player as well. 145 feels expensive to lay with a guy like Ben Griffin, but Gracerman, until this guy finally figures out how to close, no, I'll continue to fade him. So those are the 3 head-to-heads right there.
Well, we got dessert here last week. Hats off, congratulations. Sharp as can be on the Live Tour. Sergio Garcia, 20-1 at some shops. Great call there. We talked on Sports Grid, almost a little jinx by a few of our colleagues. Don't ever bring these guys up until the final bell is sound, the final hole is finished. Don't ever. But hey, you got them home. God bless you. You got a few picks this week in the Live Tour.
Yeah, we escaped the mush there last week. I hate that when, guys on social media and everything, okay, here we go. It's like, wait, don't talk until it's over. Oh, please. It's hard enough to pick these things. I don't need, fate coming into play here as well. But yeah, 3 selections for Live Singapore. And oddly enough, I remember handicapping this Live event last year. I believe I was on Cameron Smith, and he ended up finishing runner-up to Brooks Koepka. But I did a lot of research on this golf course last year when I was handicapping this. This is Sentosa Golf Club, one of the best golf courses in the world. I think it's ranked in the top 65 or so in the world in Singapore. And what I found when researching this golf course is an incredible connection to TPC Sawgrass. Now, last year they played it much later. Well, I shouldn't say much later, but they played it about a month later. They played it in April, I believe. And here we are side by side with the players. And interestingly enough, here's guys that have won at Sentosa. Matt Kuchar in 2020, Sergio Garcia in 2018, Adam Scott 3 times, 2010, 2006, and 2005. Ian Poulter in 2009, and Cam Smith was runner-up last year. Every one of those guys has won the Players' Championship except for Ian Poulter, who's been runner-up twice. That's incredible right there, that connection. So I went, that's kind of a little bit of a way I leaned on with some history here and trying to, crack the code of Sentosa. And one of the guys I went with was Paul Casey. I got him at 30-1. I've seen 35. He was a runner-up here in 2019. And the last 2 times that Paul Casey played the Players' Championship as a member of the PGA Tour in 2021 and 2022, he finished 3rd and 5th. So I think he makes sense at this golf course. He was right there giving Sergio fits down the stretch last week. He ended up finishing 5th. He's 7th on the Live circuit for driving accuracy, 12th in greens and regulation, and 16th for putting. So Paul Casey, give me him at 30-1. Dean Burmester, who I think you could argue is maybe the very best player on the Live circuit. Now, John Rahm would have something to say about that, who has finished top 10, I believe, or better in every event he's played as a part of his Live career. And I think he got another top 10 last week. But Burmester is really becoming a player, not just on the Live circuit, but, worldwide. He was 4th in Riyadh to start the Live season. He was 2nd, finished runner-up to Sergio last week. He was 14th here at Sentosa last year. 1st on the Live in birdies, 7th in greens and regulation, 6th in driving distance, and 9th in putting. Got Burmester at 20-1. And then another guy that's really been popping as of late, a little bit of a longer shot here. I've seen him at 50-1. I got 45-1, and that's Peter Uihlein, the son of the guy who started Acushnet, the father company of Titleist. Peter Uihlein, he was 6th last week in Hong Kong, second on the live circuit in driving distance, 9th in putting, and 11th in birdies. I like his current form. I like the skill set. Burmester, Casey, and Uline. We'll see if we can get it done for a second week in a row in Singapore.
Tons of action here, of course, at Live and, of course, at the Players' Championship. As we always wrap up this segment, Brady, everyone knows on Twitter where to find you, of course, at Las Vegas Golfer. But as we always wrap it up here, tell them where they can find A, your written work, and B, of course, your schedule on the Sports Grid.
Yeah, golf.com every Tuesday afternoon. My selections for the PGA Tour event come out there, golf.com under the lifestyle section. And then, of course, I'll be on Sports Grid a little later this evening, 7:30 Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern throughout the weekend. Won't be on Sunday this week. Selection Sunday coming up. So we're preempted for that. But the Saturday show, as usual, with Adam Kaufman and myself on Sports Grid.
Brady, always awesome to catch up. Thank you so much. Have an amazing week. Enjoy the golf. Enjoy the weekend. Let's cash some tickets, and we will talk soon.
I can't wait, buddy. Going to be a good one. The greatest appetizer there is, the Players' Championship.
There you go. Brady Kannon at Las Vegas Golfer. Go check him out there. And, of course, on the Sports Grid. Elijah, quick commercial break, and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. If you like golf, this is a spot to be on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. No one breaks it down like Brady. And if you need more, make sure you check them out on the Sports Grid tonight. Usually two spots, 7:30, and then back again with Gabe and Cam around 10 or 11 o'clock Eastern. On my timeline, 3 o'clock, the closing bell with Riley Magnuson. We're going to get you caught up with everything as the tournaments are going on as we speak. Richmond up 11-7. Davidson in the Atlantic 10 there. I'm gonna try to get it at 3, but I might try to squeeze it in a little earlier there. Of course, keep an eye on our timeline. Got to give a big shout out to Elijah Cox. Amazing work as always. Can't do it without you. So glad to have you back in the studio today. Shout out to Kyle Mazzer as well with all the crawler and the updates there. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Adam Trigger will be talking some NCAA hoops at Wager Talk, and Tyler Wyatt, nursing a bad knee, will be back at Tyler Wyatt Bets and Odds Culture. To everyone, have a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves, and we will see you soon.